Another guest today we have, and all the way from California, is Garyn Angel. Garyn Angel, you have a company called Magical Butter. Can you talk about a little bit about that?
Magical Butter is a company that in the cannabis industry is pretty old. It's 6 years old. We started in 2012. And what we do is we take cannabis and other herbs and we make it easy for people to turn those into edibles. So in a place like California where you have legal flower but don't have edibles, we fill that void.
No, that's awesome, and it's very interesting. I know we were talking on the phone together just shortly before this, and it's amazing that that product, you know, in Canada, as many investors know, that product is not going to be allowed. You can't have edibles in Canada, but what you can do, and you will be able to have, is butter and cannabis. So it's very, very interesting that you have a product where it's you push a button and it's good to go. And it's not just cannabis, there's many other things, but for that specifically, it's a very, very intriguing spot to be in when it comes from a business side standpoint.
I wake up and every day I feel lucky, but the way that the laws are working around the world where there are restrictions on edibles, but flower is abundant. And at the same token, governments don't want to encourage smoking. So Magical Butter is really that friendly ecosystem between governments who want healthy consumption and licensed producers who can't yet get into the edible space.
No, absolutely, and I believe we were speaking that Canada is going to be one of your main, if not your main focus, but you are in the States as well. Are you going to be in both areas?
Yeah, Magical Butter, one of the things that we've been able to do through the years is build out this logistical platform. But we're sold in the US, in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the EU, the UK, Mexico, South Africa. Our main focus for 2019 is Canada. We have never made a big push in Canada, but we're going all in Canada.
Yeah. It's probably the perfect time to do that as well. Now, when it comes to Magical Butter and the machine that you guys have, are you guys currently, you are having sales already. Are you able to talk a little bit about what your company has already accomplished and possibly what you're looking to accomplish in 2019?
Yeah, we are a revenue generating company, and we do good revenue, as a matter of fact. We did about 6.1 million last year. This year we'll do between 7 and 10 million. And really, we've been building this ecosystem. I haven't worried too much about revenue running the company. I've worried about building a hierarchy and an org chart that is a team of winners. And now we're scaling. And you don't know this until you're in the hunt like we've been. You can't just press go. You really need foundational support, and that's what we've been doing for 6 years. And 2019 is our year for massive growth.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for it because even just seeing the product myself. Now, we do have a video for this product. A second ago, we were seeing if we can get it up on the screen here, but it's really interesting where you're able to just add butter into it. Herbs, it doesn't have to be cannabis. It could be rosemary. It could be anything else. And it's not just one thing, but then there's different settings that you can push. And it's literally just, you're pushing it, you let it go, it'll blend it up, it'll heat it up. And in the end, I think you're calling it the love glove. Being able to use that, squeeze everything out there, and once that solidifies, you have flavored butter, whether it be cannabis, whether it be any other herbs, that you can cook, you can add to whatever it be. It's really, really interesting because I think a lot of people will want to try this, and it's not expensive either. So it's a very, very interesting product, and it's a very interesting time to have that product really come into Canada as well.
The product has many, many uses. Butters, oils, alcohols. For example, a lot of restaurants around the States use our product to make their limoncello. And
really?
Limoncello taking 30 days, it takes them a couple hours. Bitters, tinctures, all of these are restaurant items now, especially at a lot of these speakeasies. And our product really integrates well into, if you take a medical device from a compounding pharmacy, it's essentially what the Magical Butter device is. And it's controlled heating sequences. So soups, sauces, salad dressings, you can make soaps and lotions. Yeah. It just empowers you to make your own creations and know what the ingredients are.
No, absolutely. And I saw that the video is going up there. If we do have any issues with the video, what we'll do is during our live segment, we'll get that back on because I want people to be able to show that because we're going to have a couple of minutes to speak about you as well. So we'll be able to air that at that time if we need to. But when it comes to investors, you know, this is so much more than investors, especially speaking with you. It's a passion. It's people who really enjoy, like you said, whether it be cannabis, whether it be alcohol, and these other aspects. But for investors specifically, do you have any plans on listing on an exchange somewhere in Canada?
We do. I was in Toronto last week. I've been in Toronto, I think now 4 of the last 10 weeks, and we're pursuing a listing in Canada. We're really excited about it. It's the easiest place in the world for us to tell our story, and it's going to be where we are spending most of our time in 2019. So it makes sense. We've come in alignment there, and we're aggressively growing the company. So we need access to the capital markets, and Canada is the epicenter of it. We couldn't be more excited. And as far as investors, for us, really everything we do is about community. It's a together we win attitude. We want strategic investors. We want people who really will fall in love with the brand the same way we do, and fall in love with Team MB because everybody is passionate and compassionate. And our team is comprised of characters with good character. It's really, we want to welcome people into our group and have them be part of our community more so than invest in the company, invest in the relationship with the company.
Yeah, and that's why I was really careful with saying the investors, because we had spoken before, and there's an amazing passion that you had, and just with what you're doing with your team and what you're doing with the community that you're selling these products to. But when it comes to investors, you know, a lot of investors, especially people in cannabis and millennials like myself, a lot of people are starting to go away from certain companies they don't believe in because they don't just want to, you know, invest in a ticker. They don't just want to invest in a public company. They actually want to invest in what that company is doing. They want to be a part of it. There's a lot more emotion to it than in, you know, say just 10 years ago, 5 years ago, people investing in something where they can see a ticker in their portfolio, and they barely know anything about it. They just know, oh, someone told me to buy it. I think that trend is changing, and when it comes to companies who are really out there with a lot of passion and they have a community to go with them, I think that's where you're going to get a lot more people where it's not just an investor, like you said, but it's you're joining a company. You're having a little piece of a company.
Yeah, we're a big piece, right?
Or a big piece.
we're at, everything that we do is designed for people to come out ahead. And that's the together we win mentality. I don't ever want to have our stock overpriced, and we always want to drive real value. And it's something I've focused on my entire life, and I couldn't be more excited to be in Canada. It's a blessing to be there. And I'm so fortunate for the laws, the way that they've worked out. We didn't know where we were going to make our first move. We were waiting for the state to follow what Canada really did, and Canada built the perfect model.
Yeah. Perfect, except for we need edibles and different things in there. But you know, you're getting there slowly, and I think they will get there relatively soon as well. But no, I agree. You know, from an economic standpoint, that's what I studied in school. I've always been absolutely dumbfounded at how cannabis has stayed illegal for so long. The purposes for cannabis, the different things that you can use it for. You open up your cupboard in your kitchen, you open up your cupboard in your washroom, and half of those things could probably replace with some form of cannabis. And yet all this time we've been doing nothing. I love the fact that Canada has really positioned itself to be one of the global leaders. And, you know, we're hoping our neighbors to the south start coming on board as well. Slowly they are. There's more states now that have some sort of legalization for cannabis than do not. So that's a win right there. But I agree, Canada has set themselves in a really good position. You're very, very smart to be going in there and making that a huge focus for 2019.
Cannabis interacts with our endocannabinoid system. And when you start to understand that the endocannabinoid system interacts with every disease known to mankind, it becomes apparent that it's a dietary essential. And just being in that lane of of a dietary essential, to me, it's like a cell phone, right? This is a device everybody has, and we're in that same realm in my mind, because this is a dietary essential, and we make the tools for everybody to get connected to it. And it couldn't be a more simple problem and solution to identify. And when I've always looked at opportunities, that's been the focus point, right? What's the problem? How are they solving it? Does it make sense? And that's really our entry point, is the fact that cannabis is a dietary essential.
Yeah, and absolutely, and maybe a little bit off topic, but still the same topic. I do a lot of reading, especially when it comes to cannabis, and there's a lot of different studies that are going on. And funny enough, in the States is where a lot of these are happening, where they're looking at CBD and other cannabinoids interacting with your endocannabinoid system that we have in our bodies for gut rot, like colitis. And that's a very, very interesting study that I really hope gets out there, because they're showing that, or they believe that when you start having a high intake of things like CBD and other cannabinoids, you're actually helping your stomach get rid of bad bacteria and produce good bacteria. And that's a huge focus for a lot of Americans, North Americans. And it's very interesting how it's so simple and it can just go into a drink, and yet it's only now, 2018, starting to be talked about. It's ridiculous, but I think a lot more of these things are going to start coming into play in the next coming years for sure.
I've had several conversations with venture capitalists from the big pharma companies through the years, and all of them are focused on the microbiome. And cannabis hasn't been allowed to have clinical trials on it globally for 80 years now. And in this period, we've learned a lot about gut health and how gut really, the microbiome health has a lot to do with the overall well-being of an individual. Cannabinoids matter in that equation. They matter in a big way, and thank you for highlighting that.
Well, hey, I appreciate this. You know, we came on here to talk about Magical Butter and the different initiatives you're doing as well, but I think it shows a lot of character in yourself with how much passion you have in this. And I think, you know, as people start looking at your company, whether it's your products, whether it's yourself, or one day in Canada in the near future, it's your stock. I think that's going to really resonate with them. So I appreciate your time. I hope to have many more of these talks in the near future, and enjoy California. I can only imagine it's, you got the pool behind you already. I can only imagine it's going to be a great day for yourself there. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the viewers. Together we win. MagicalButter.com.